Oops, sorry. All right, we'll get going here. First off, I appreciate you coming. Enjoy this beautiful weather. It's awesome that we got to open up the docks today, and hopefully, I've heard rumblings the weather's going to be really awesome here in the next couple hours. So when this is done, get out of here, go take shelter, and be safe the rest of the day, from what I hear. So, my name's Jared Shore. I'm the owner of Mamba Mortgage. This is our building. We don't own the building, but this is our space that we get to use. And we open this space up to, if you ever have an event you guys want to host and co-sponsor with us, this space is for free. So if you guys ever want to do anything with your teams, whether it's continuing ed, bring them in, whatever you want to do, this space is yours as much as it is ours. Down the hallway is our actual office. So if you've never checked it out, we just moved in there 2 weeks ago, and we moved up there from the space we were up right above this space. And so it's a much better space for us, and I think it's a better space for you guys to come in and utilize as well. So there's a massive conference room in there. It's too big for us. If you guys ever want to use the conference room for closings, meetings, whatever, it's yours too. So I want to introduce our sponsor in the back today. This is Christy Hines back in the back. Her and her husband own two companies that are sponsoring today. One is iSky. They're a real estate photography company, as well as a staging company, Perfect Nook. So I'll come back to her. She's got a bum knee right now, so I won't make her come on, but I'll let her talk a little bit.
Well, good morning. Again, my name's Christy Hines. My husband is the photographer and drone pilot for iSky. I'm the behind the scenes. I'm on the phone every day with realtors and anybody that needs our help. And then I own Perfect Nook Staging and Styling. We opened our doors last June, and I'm tired. We staged a $1.8 million house last Wednesday. That's the biggest house I've done, and it was amazing. So we've got jobs this weekend and next week. So yeah, we're Perfect Nook and iSky.
And I can attest, they actually did the real estate photography on my personal primary residence when we sold it, as well as my investment property when I sold it. And they both sold, so that has to say something, right? It was all because of the photography. So, like I said, appreciate you guys being here today. And our guest speaker today, if you don't know him, get to know him, Steve Rupp. I've gotten to know Steve over the past, 5-6 years, give or take, when he was running a team at Zulu Property Manager, or Zulu Group. Yep. And was working with a couple of agents on his team, and they are just such great process-driven team. Now, that team's no longer. However, Steve has his coaching company, and that's where we brought him in last year. We sponsored 10 agents to go through his coaching program, and we got through with it. And I was like, this is so simple, but it's a lot of work to do. And we implemented it on our team. Now, we're not real estate agents, but we implemented a lot of the things that he talked about, and lo and behold, it works. It's crazy. You do the process, and you do it over and over and over again, and it works. So I'm really excited for him to talk about really how to build a sustainable business and sustainable leads. So without further ado, I won't give all of his speech here, but Steve Rupp, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Jared. Thank you. Welcome. Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you to Mother Nature for cooperating with us for the next few hours. I think we've got till about 1 or 2 o'clock, and things are going to start to get real. So hopefully you will be in a place where you don't have to be outside a lot. So thank you for being here. That's a really cool backpack, by the way. I think that's pretty neat. Y'all see that? It like scrolls. That's pretty cool. You can go show them. So don't show them on that side too. Keeping them in suspense. Need to sell your home. That's awesome. All right. So welcome. So today we're going to talk for about 45 minutes or so. This is interactive, so please feel free to ask questions as we go through. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you have gotten what you've paid for, right? This is free, so I don't want you to say, hey, I got what I paid for, and it really was worth what I paid. I want you to come out of this because your time is the most valuable asset that you have. We all know that. And so my commitment to you is you're going to walk out of here with at least one actionable item that you can apply to your business today to make it better. My challenge is that I want to be able to generate 6 figures for you because of what I'm teaching you today in the next 6 months. And if I do that, would that make your time here worthwhile? Say yes? Awesome, thank you. So that's what we're going to be working on. Specifically, we're going to talk about leaks. I can almost assure you that every single one of you has some leaks in your business that you don't know about. One of my jobs as a coach is to help expose those leaks so we can fix them. The worst leak to have is the one that you don't know you have, but the water just keeps going down and you don't know where it's going. The most important thing is discovering where it's going, stopping it, and then recouping where that lost water so it doesn't keep leaking out of the tub. One of the analogies that I like to use is a beach ball. Does everybody know what a beach ball looks like, the multicolored? I used to have that in the presentation. I took it out. But anyway, so one of the best things that you can have, and this is what we're going to do today, is I'll be your coach today for the next 45 minutes to an hour. But see, every one of you are standing on one of the colored bands of the beach ball. And you can see the band next to you, right? Maybe it's yellow, maybe it's green, maybe it's blue, maybe it's red. You can see each one next to you, but you can't see on the other side of the beach ball. The point about this is that you have blind spots. And having a coach, having a mentor, having a colleague who is sitting at the top of the beach ball, they can see all the panels. They can see all the blind spots. No one here has the ability to see all of your blind spots. You just don't. That's why we were talking earlier about like Kobe Bryant, one of the best basketball players of all time. He had coaches. Why? Because he had blind spots, and he needs someone to help him discover those and fix them. And if you have professional athletes and Olympians have coaches, there's a reason why. I'm not here to sell my coaching services, don't worry. Be happy to talk to you if you want, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is giving you some actionable information that you can use. So, this is me. So, for those of you who don't know me, I've been in real estate for about 26 years now. I grew up in the business, literally. My dad got in the business the year that I was born in 1972. And so I have literally been in the business for 54 years. I've seen pretty much everything. I've seen everything from the 70s all the way until now. And I've got all the bumps and the bruises and the scrapes and the emotional scars that come along with that. We know what that's like because we take on that emotional baggage from our clients. In fact, that's kind of a running joke for a lot of real estate agents is you have to be a psychiatrist first before you can actually do your job as a real estate agent. Isn't that right? Because you have to get through your client with the emotions before you can get to the business stuff, which is the most important part. And that is I would argue, one of the most important jobs for us as real estate agents is cutting through the emotional baggage that a lot of our clients bring to the transaction so that they can think clearly and make good decisions. How does the adage go? People buy an emotion, they justify with logic. Our whole purpose is to make sure people are thinking logically about the transaction. Because usually when emotions get involved, it doesn't end well for people. When you're working with a buyer, you want to get them emotionally attached to the house as fast as possible, right? Usually, if you're a buyer's agent, you refer to it, and this is what I always did, refer to it as a home. But if it was where I was working with a seller, I refer to it as a house. And there's a reason between it. It's a very, very, very small distinction, but it's all based on neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, if you're familiar with that. So anyway, sold a lot of houses. I got a lot of designated certifications. I got tons of alphabet soup behind my name, which is great. You all don't really care. But one of the things that I did in my business was, I'm going to teach you one of these today, is this Premier Connect program. And it's all about building relationships with people that you already work with. but you're not getting out of it what you should. And I'm going to tell you why and how you can stop that leak in your business like I did. And this added over 6 figures to my business in a year. So I know it works. And there's been 500 of you who have already gone through this program, and they're generating 6 figures on average of additional GCI to their business. So it works if you implement it. But just like everything, it's only as good as the effort that you put into it. All right. So let's talk about it. This is my wife. So this is my family. That's my wife, Bridget, and then that's Anastasia, and that's Natalia. So Anna is going to be a senior at IU. She is a double major, finance and accounting at Kelly. Kelly grad? She's in Manhattan right now working at Anderson, doing an internship there. She was at Merck doing an internship in Manhattan last year too. So she's my numbers person. She's my finance person. She knows of all the Mamba people out there. She's one of you. That's how she thinks. Now Natalia, she's my competitive cheerleader. She's a junior. She'll be a junior at Westfield. She cheers varsity for Westfield Plus at ICE All-Stars. She's on their Worlds team, which is their highest level. So we travel all over the country and spend an absurd amount of money on competitive cheer. Anybody have any competitive cheerleaders? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't even want to know how much that costs. And I tell my wife that. In fact, one of the parents said, I was looking at my credit card bill and I was about to call the credit card company because I thought somebody had stolen my credit card because of all these charges on here. I started looking through it and it was all competitive cheer charges. $25,000 a year is the average amount that a Worlds team parent pays for competitive cheer. $25K. It's insane. My wife works for Merck, and she just started a new position there today officially. So she's happy. But anyway, this is why I do what I do. I hope all of you have a why too. Whether it's family, whether it's passions, whether it's not-for-profits, whether it's traveling, I don't care what your why is, but hopefully there's a reason why you get up every day, because life is hard. And we know that. And there is more to life than just grinding, because that's when we get burned out. And frankly, that's why I sold my business. I was burned out. I've been doing this for 25 years. I did it at a very high level. I ran a team, and I was tired of adult babysitting, and I was tired of constantly being on call. I didn't have a true vacation for 25 years. My family knows this, and it was brutal. And that's why I chose to get out. In fact, that's Anna when she was little. She was about 10 years old. And I'll never forget this. This was in October. She's 21, so she would have been about 10 at the time. 8. She was 8 years old, and I remember it was at night. It was about 8:30 at night. I was working in my home office upstairs, and lights were on. It was dark outside, and I was putting a listing in. I was marketing one of my new listings, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I kind of see around the corner of my eye my daughter kind of peer around the door frame. And she said something that I'm never going to forget. And I hope that you have not heard this. And she said, "Daddy, when am I going to see you again?" It broke my heart. It still makes me tear up almost when I say it. And I put this in here because I don't want this to happen to you. Real estate can consume you if you let it. Lending, real estate, it takes a lot out of us. That's why we get paid the big bucks. Here's the issue. If you let it, real estate is going to take your family away from you. Like it almost did mine. I realized at that moment that I was losing my family. I had to do something different in order to go down a different path. And I started to look at, I hired a coach who saved my family. And I had someone help me find out where my leaks were, where my bottlenecks were, and get leverage. and be able to save my family. So this girl didn't grow up in a divorced family, and if anyone's divorced, there's some good things and some bad things with that. Sometimes the relationship just doesn't work, and that's okay. But I don't think anybody gets married to get divorced. It's not a fun process to go through. And these are the people that suffer the most. I didn't want that. I didn't want that for them. I didn't want that for me. I didn't want that for Natalia. And so this is one of the reasons I built this today. And so if that resonates with you, please listen to what I'm going to tell you next and share with you some ideas that you can implement in your business today such that you can make the kind of money that you want to make and still have a life where you can go home for dinner and actually be present at dinner and not picking up your phone in the middle of dinner because you've got some random phone call for somebody calling you and it might be a lead that you might miss. Because the most important people are at the dinner table with you. That's assuming you still have dinner as a family. And that's an assumption too right there. And that also starts to go by the wayside as you have kids in competitive cheer and all the rest because they're always at the gym. Anyway, so this is why I needed to make a change to my life. If any of you can relate to this, good. That sucked. And I needed to get out of the suck. And so I knew that I needed to create something that was authentic to me and how I did business, that was going to be able to provide the lifestyle that I wanted and needed for my family. And that was, I have never cold called a day in my life, and I haven't bought any leads. And that seems to be one of the first things that people do, real estate agents do, is they take the easy button. And listen, I want to be very clear about it. I'm not throwing shade on anybody. If any of you buy leads, that's fine. I would argue, please don't make that a lifelong business decision for how you get business because they are very expensive. I'm going to show you a system on how you can do it without paying for those or supplement that. But those leads are very transactional and they're expensive when you look at that. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I needed to find something that was going to make a change for me. So there's 3 things we're going to talk about today. Number 1, we're going to identify one place where your business is leaking money. We're going to look at where your vendor partnerships and relationships are probably underperforming for your business. And then lastly, I'm going to share with you one of a 3-pillar framework that I use in order to recoup that money, in order to leverage and turbocharge those relationships. And I was able to go to sleep and wake up in the morning, January 1st, I knew I was going to have 23 closings that year. I knew. Why? Because I had a system that was working for me. And when you have a system that works for you, that produces predictable business, life gets a whole lot easier. It's a whole lot better on the other side, guys. A whole lot better. And then you don't have to constantly worry where my next deal is coming from. Because as they say in sales, you're only as good as your last deal. That's a lot of pressure and a lot of strain and a lot of stress. So, who can relate to this? For those of you who in here works with cold leads? This might be paid leads. It might be people coming to you from your website. It might be just cold people that your brokerage sends you. Anybody work with any pay for leads or anything? There's no judgment. It's okay. I expect some people to raise their hand.
Very early. It's not. I don't pay for them, but they also my business is cold.
A lot of it is just outbound calls and contacts. Anybody else do outbound calls? Yeah? Okay, so some of you do. Here's what I've noticed as I've been speaking is the amount of paid leads that people are paying for, the number of people go down right now, which I find very interesting. Because here's the thing that I know to be true. You know those Facebook groups that we're all in, that we're all part of, real estate professionals group or whatever? Every single time, I don't care what the question is, It could be, hey, who won the Knicks Spurs game last night? I guarantee you within 5 comments, there's going to be some paid lead company that comes up on the comments every single time. I'll be willing to bet you a steak dinner at St. Elmo's, you cannot find me one thread that involves real estate agents where a lead conversation comes up and it has nothing to do with the original question. Happens every single time. Can any of you relate to that? Am I the only one that follows these threads? I see it all the time. Drives me crazy. But obviously Zillow Flex comes up a lot. Deluxer comes up a lot. There's all kinds of them out there. But anyway, so this is what happens for these cold leads. So you get a cold lead in. I don't care where it comes from. You don't know them. There's no relationship. You get calls. You're dialing out. You're dialing for dollars, and you got to make a lot. You have to make a lot of calls. You got to have to get a lot of leads in because your conversion rate is only 2 to 5%. I did a lot of research for this, and the highest conversion rate I could find anywhere on the web was 5%. The average is about 2. 5-minute response rules. How many of you have heard this? If you don't respond to a lead that comes into you within 5 minutes, your chances of converting that lead go down 87%, which means you have to be there when they're ready. Not when you're ready, not when it's convenient, but when they're ready, which is probably at night, on the weekends, on holidays. And let's not even talk about when you're getting ready to go on vacation. And then all kinds of business comes in, right? My dad told me that from the very beginning. Stephen, if you need business, go on vacation. You'll always get business right before you go on vacation. And he was right, 100%. And then lastly, because there's no trust, there's no relationship, there's no value that you have, they ask you to cut your fee a lot more often. I know this because I did get some of those cold leads that came in that called me, and almost every single time the conversation at some point was, I want you to cut your fee. Now, before I go on, we've got a lot of different brokerages here, right? So do the whole disclaimer of we're not talking about any numbers for commission. All commissions are negotiable. We can't talk specifics, right? What I'm talking about here is whatever fee you charge, whatever that is, if they ask you to discount it, you're not getting what you want, right? Now, I was great with objection handling, and rarely did I ever have to adjust my fee. But how good would it be if you didn't even have to have the conversation? How many of you heard the phrase, in the absence of value, price becomes a conversation? Yeah, if you haven't, you should. Because if you are getting asked to reduce your fee, the answer for that is you have not provided enough value to the consumer. Because when you do, they won't ask you to reduce your fee. Let me ask you a question. A diamond. You buy a diamond. You go to Jared, let's say, and you look at another one from Tiffany's. Same exact diamond, cut, clarity, color, exact same. Who's going to charge more? Tiffany? Why are they charging more? Brand, the little blue box, right? When I was moving my daughter into Manhattan, we actually had breakfast at Tiffany's, which has anyone done that? It's really freaking cool. It's expensive, but it's really freaking cool. You actually go up to the top and you see all 5 levels of it is amazing. The point is, same exact thing, but there's 2 different prices. And here's the deal. How many people think that people who are buying a diamond from Tiffany's ask them to reduce their price? They don't. And even if they ask, they wouldn't do it. Why? Because there's value. Same diamond, doesn't matter. You're not walking around with a sign on your head saying, hey, I got this at Tiffany's, want to see the blue box? People just see the beautiful diamond on your hand. But that diamond costs a lot more than if you got it at Jared's. It's all about how you package it. And that's what I want you to remember, is what the services that you provide have to be packaged in a certain way. It's all about branding and marketing. Anyone who's a marketing expert, a branding expert, knows this. And we all have our own brands. So keep that in mind. So this is your cold lead grind. It's hard. It takes away a lot of your energy. I hate when I got some of these unknown calls that came in, I hated answering those calls. I hated it because they didn't care about me. I was just a transaction facilitator for them. I was a means to an end. Now, how many of you get a lot of your business from referrals? Repeat and referrals. I hope a lot of hands are going up. Okay, so good number of you. Well, here's the thing. Number one, referrals, can we agree, are fairly unpredictable. You don't know when they're going to come in, right? And I'll speak for me. That was me before I did this. Lots of touch points. Lots of touch points that you have to keep track of. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. In fact, I teach a 127 touch point system for your database. It works very well. I had people that were managing it for me on my team. It was a lot. And as real estate agents, I know most of you aren't going to do it because you're just in the business instead of working on your business. Lastly, because of all these people that are in your database, which I call a data bank, this is an untapped gold mine for you. And I guarantee you there are people in your database this year that are working with another real estate agent because you didn't stay in touch with them enough. I guarantee it. Happened to me every year. And it was awful. Oh man, how dare they go with so-and-so? They didn't call me. There's someone right now that I know they wouldn't call me again because I see there's another agent, and I'm not going to mention the name, but this other agent that everybody in this room knows who it is, and I've got a ton of respect for her, but every freaking Facebook post they put, she's the first one to like and comment on it. Like, crap. I'm losing them. They probably aren't going to use me anymore. I don't sell anyway. I sold my business, so I'm still on a team, but I don't sell anymore. All right, so the problem with referrals is that you have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of touch points, and it creates a roller coaster of income. And we all know this. The roller coaster, you know, it's really good when it's good and you're working in your business, but then you forget to work on your business and you go down again. And that drop sucks. We've all been there. I've been there a lot too. By the way, if you see all the red, my wife gave me some poison ivy working in our yard a couple weeks ago. So it's not, don't worry, it's not contagious or anything. It's finally healing. But anyway, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look so great. So that's what that is. Okay, so here's a gap that I saw. The gap is, let's say you get 100 paid leads in. You pay for them. Your brokerage pays for them. A lot of brokerages are doing this now. Great. You average 2% close rate. You're going to close 2 deals. My GCI, I use this for round numbers. Your GCI may be higher, might be lower. Mine at the end of, when my last year that I sold was, I think it was $10,007 was the average. So round it down to 10,000 just because it's real easy for math. Versus if you get referrals in, referrals close on average at a rate of 87%. 87% for closed deals versus 2%. I have 85% in here. I was rounding down. So if you get 10 referral leads in a year, you're going to close 8 of them. You're going to get $10,000 per. So what does that look like for numbers? 20,000 versus 80,000. Which one is more fun to work with? Right, the referrals. I love referrals. This is separate. Have any of you heard of the triangle of trust? You guys know that, the triangle of trust? Have you heard about that? Some of you have. Pooja, you have. Okay. Is it okay if I tell you that real fast? This is important. So, do you have a marker, Jared?
It's on the back side of that.
Oh, okay. See if people can see this. Okay. So here's your triangle of trust. So here's you. Here's a referral. And then here is, I'll just call it the mutual friend, right? This is the triangle of trust. All right. So you don't know this referral, but the mutual friend does. you know the mutual friend. So by association and proximity, the referral, because they trust a mutual friend and they talked you up when they referred you, I'm assuming, there is some level of trust between you and the referral now that you don't know. They don't even need to have met you or talked to you yet, but there is some level of trust that they have with you. Would you agree? Right? So that's why, for example, if you call this person, the last thing that you're going to say is your name. Like I wouldn't say, hey Pooja, Steve Rupp here. I would not say that. If she had no context about me, the first thing I would say is, hey Pooja, Jared Shore introduced us and asked me to call you. My name is Steve Rupp. That's how you do an introduction. Why? Because she's going to mention somebody, or I'm going to mention somebody that she knows that she's immediately going to pay attention to. If I just mention my name, she doesn't know me from Adam. She's going to tune me out really fast. But if I mention Jared's name, she knows Jared. She's like, oh, okay, well, he knows who Jared is. I know Jared. Oh, Jared had the conversation. He recommended Steve. Okay, now I'm going to pay attention. So if you're not doing that for introductions, for referrals, please start doing that. I guarantee you'll have better success with building rapport faster when you do that. And people listen to you earlier on in the conversation. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions on that? Does anybody do that right now? You guys do? Good for you. That's awesome. Most people haven't ever heard this before, and so that's worth something right there, hopefully. All right. Can you see the difference? Can you see, using the triangle of trust, how you can key into your hot referrals? All right, I'm going to stop here for just a minute. What are you taking away? What's landing right now with you?
Here, Caleb.
Following up with referrals, I would say another one would.
That's for the video.
Oh, okay. Following up with trust. The trust triangle. And then also making sure that the touching of the leads. Like, there's a lot of time with clients that I just don't have the time. I be always so busy that I follow up with them in, through social media or, a text here and there, but on the frequently saying, hey, are you still actively looking, or we fell back on the search? So I would definitely say that, or that's a pretty big thing. Also the family thing too, man. It's crazy because I was struggling with myself. My tequila brand has gotten a call last night to go and sponsor an event for a music festival in New York. So it's Father's Day this weekend. It's crazy, right? So it's a tough battle. So
Got to make a choice.
Got to make a choice.
Do you have something you want to say? Thank you.
You can speak up just so everybody knows.
All right, yeah. So what stuck to me is the in the absence of value, price, it becomes a conversation. And I've seen in multiple situations where, especially as I was beginning my business, I'm, so anxious to get the right price for people and making sure that everything is lined up there. Whereas, as I've gone through it, like, my fee is my fee because what I'm doing for them, others are not doing for them, right? Like, I'm making sure that, if they have a DTI issue, I make sure that we work things out so it fits in that. If there's just hey, we really can't afford it, or we need more, because I do insurance, we need more coverages, et cetera. I make sure that I explain everything that we're selecting, why we're selecting it, and why you need it. I'm not saying like, is this something that you would want? I know for a fact in the state of Indiana, for instance, I do HOI. Water coverages are the highest claims in the state of Indiana. So when I do homeowners insurance policy, it's a non-negotiable that you have water coverages, period. You have to have it because I have several clients who've had multiple claims in water. I have people in my church, people in my neighborhood who's had water claims in the last 3 to 5 years. So it's a non-negotiable when I am writing it. And so, especially for you guys in real estate, like, Yeah, that really resonates with me because you have to present yourself and show and prove your value. And when you do, the fee is never an issue. Like some of my colleagues have issues with the fee. I never have an issue with the fee. I never
Providing
have an issue.
value. That's the most important thing, right? And that's our challenge with real estate now, is providing value. How many of you, when we went over last year, we had to start using buyer agency, which I was happy about. But one of the things that so many brokerages and NAR and IR and MyBor were telling us over and over again, you got to provide value. You have to state your value. Make sure the buyers know your value before you ask them to approve the agreement. And that's really important. And that is what you should be doing, is making sure that people know about your value that you bring to the transaction. Because that's how you get referrals. And that's the most important thing. And having great communication and telling people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. Because what they want to hear is not necessarily why they hired you, right? Good. Thank you for that. All right. So here's the leak that most of you have in your business. We all need vendor referrals and vendors in our business. So quick question, and just shout it out. According to NAR, how many vendors are in the average real estate transaction? 40? Wow, that's a lot. Yeah. How many? 3? 5? 4? Anyone else? 7? Anybody want to do prices right? $1? So we got 40 as the high, and we've had 3 as the low. The average, the number is actually in the middle, surprisingly enough. 27. 27 vendor partners in the average real estate transaction, according to NAR. How many think that number is high? I thought it was high. I actually went back and audited my transactions, and I counted all the vendors that were in them.
There's five vendors in this room.
Yes.
That work on transactions.
Yep. We're going to talk about those in just a minute. So I audited like the last 5 transactions, and it actually averaged 27. When you look at everybody. Here's a little side note. How many of you are in networking groups? Like a BNI type of a group? Yeah, a lot of you. If you're not in that, you should be in a networking group. And if you don't have one that you can find, go make one. But here's the point. We as real estate agents are the most valuable part of most networking groups. Why? Because we have the capacity to send more referrals than any other industry in there, most likely. I mean, think about it. 27, you got the opportunity to send 27 referrals for every transaction. If you just do 10 transactions a year, that's 270 referrals. That would probably be more referrals than your whole networking group sends in an entire year. And you can eclipse that yourself. That's why real estate agents are so important. We are the ringleader of what a lot of times is a circus that we're managing, right, for these transactions, and they've become worse as things have, as time has gone on. But you don't convert that goodwill that you have with all these vendor partners that love you because you send a lot of business to them. You don't convert that into predictable referrals. Is there anybody in this room who can tell me that they are predictably getting referrals from their vendor partner network? You are? How many are you getting a year?
I don't know.
Like predictably?
I mean, I would say on percentage. How many percentage or how many?
How many referrals are you getting from your vendor partner network?
BNI, so probably 100.
Well, that's BNI. I'm talking about just like your vendors that you work with,
Oh.
unless they're in there, which is great.
Yeah, some of them are in there. A year, at least. I'm just guessing 100 still. I mean, I don't know.
100?
But I mean, I would say on a weekly basis, I get at least 1 or 2 from my vendor partners.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be getting.
Yeah.
Congratulations for that.
Yeah. I mean,
How many you get?
I would say probably about a good
30 a year from your vendor partner network? That's awesome. That's how it should work. If you're not getting 30 referrals from your vendor partner network consistently every single year, then listen next, because I'm going to teach you how to do this. Because this is a leak in your business that you're not taking advantage of. You are sending all this business to these vendor partners, and you got tons of goodwill, but you're not getting it out. And you don't measure it. You don't even know how much you're losing. That's the thing. So here's a case in point. This is me, by the way. 38 years. I'd sent business to an inspection company that you all know. Some of you love them, some of you hate them. They're the largest in the state. I've been sending them to them for decades. Literally, we're one of their very first clients. They'll tell you, you weren't our first client, Steve, but you're one of our first. Great, thanks. But I never built a two-way relationship. I hadn't gotten, in 38 years, I hadn't gotten one referral. Not one. And then I had a conversation, and within the first month, I got a referral and a closing a month later. $18,000. Because I asked. That is the magic word that all salespeople should know, is that three-letter word, ask. If you're not asking, you're not getting, right? And that's their job as salespeople is to ask. So here's the thing. I had sent them, I calculated it out, I had sent them over $540,000 worth of business in 38 years. That was conservative, over $500,000. I paid for their boat up in Cleveland when they go to Put in Bay for their wedding anniversary every year, and a lot more. But here's the thing. Goodwill, you say, oh, they love me. Well, that's great. That's not a strategy. Having structure around the goodwill is a strategy. And that's what I want you to take away today. Create a structure around what you're doing so it happens predictably. And by the way, all of you are running your own business, and you should be doing it with the intent of selling it eventually, because you are building all these assets, and most real estate agents just leave the business and retire quietly, or just slowly wind down, where you've got a whole lot of opportunities. And you know how someone's going to buy your business is based off of predictable revenue. It's off revenue streams. That's how I sold my business. I've gotten over $500,000 from selling my business from my business partner. And I'm still getting it, which is great. So I know it can work, but most people don't take advantage of that. You lack structure. And that's the most important thing that I want you to take away today. So, one-way relationship, over $500,000, zero back. It's not a bad vendor. And listen, I want to be very clear. I'm not throwing shade on your vendor partners. I am not. We need our vendor partners. I love my vendor partners. The problem is you have an undefined relationship with them. That's the problem. That's on us as real estate agents. It's one way. Send you out the business. There's a problem. I need you to fix the problem for me. Okay, great. Well, are you sending anything back to me? And that's what we're going to fix. So my question to you is this, and this is where I do want you to be on your phone. How much money have you lost? Because you all have lost money, except for maybe these two rock stars over here, which is awesome. So I want you to, how many of you know what your average commission is? There's a leak right there. Got to know your numbers. How many businesses out, how many Fortune 500 companies do you go to the CFO and say, what's your average sales price? Or what's your revenue this year? How many of them would look at me with the same blank stare that you just gave me? They know their numbers, right? I'm not going to put him on the spot and ask him, but I guarantee you Jared knows his numbers. He knows his average. He knows what his annual revenue is. He probably knows the numbers for all of his LOs. He runs a business. You guys, you run a business. But the problem is that you're just letting it run you. Because unless you're tracking your numbers, your business is running you all over the place. I knew my numbers. I still know my numbers. I can answer any question you want, and when it came to numbers, I know my numbers. So my question to you is this. If you don't know what your average commission is, please go back and figure that out. You deserve to know that number. Why? Because you also deserve to know what your average hourly rate is. How many of you know what your average hourly rate is? 50 cents? That's another problem we could talk about. My average hourly rate when I got out of the business was over $450 an hour. It made it really easy for me to make decisions when someone asked me to do something. I went down a lot. I actually used working hours. So, and I pared mine down. I was working no more than 50 hours a week. But that's a great clarifying question. So you got to figure out how much you're working. Hopefully you're not working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hopefully you're not. And if you are, that's another, we need to talk. But so figure out what your average commission is. If you don't know what your average commission is, use $7,500. If you're like, that's too high, okay, well then use whatever you feel is your average. I want this to land with you. I don't want you to use my numbers. And then I want you to multiply that number times 10. So if it's $7,500, that's $75,000, right? So, and I'm gonna show you where this comes in a minute. This is how much your business is leaking every year minimum. Minimum. Because you should be having at least 10 vendor partners sending you business every single year. I would say 23, because if there's 27 vendor partners in the average real estate transaction, and you close in an 87% rate, that's 23 closings, that's how much money you're leaving on the table if you're not extracting that from all of your vendor partners. But here's the thing, you don't need tons and tons and tons of leads. You just need to stop wasting all the relationships that you already are pouring into. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me? Does anybody have any questions? Are there any light bulbs going off? Yes, ma'am.
What about the vendors that have multiple real estate agents?
Great question. They all do. At least I hope they do. You're not asking for all their business. You're just asking for one referral.
Steve, can you repeat the question?
Yes. So the question, thank you. The question was, what about your vendors that utilize multiple real estate agents? And the answer to that is they all should be working with multiple real estate agents. You're not asking for all their business. I mean, you love it, but you're not asking for all of it. You're just asking for one referral. And here's the thing. You're not even saying it has to close. First of all, unless they're licensed, that's illegal. You can't do that. You can ask for a name. You cannot precipitate that upon a closing. That is illegal and violates Indiana license law. Don't do that. But you can ask for a name. And we know that 87% of those are going to close. So if you ask one vendor partner, like that inspection company, they work with hundreds of real estate agents. Do you know how many, to your point, let me reply with this. How many real estate agents in 38 years that I've been working this inspection company, how many real estate agents ask them for a referral in 38 years? How many do you think? 10? 4. I was the 4th. And I'm not gonna, and I mean, you guys all probably know who this is. It's Security Home Inspections, right? Patty and Phil Thornberry. So I asked Patty, and if any of you, does anybody know Patty Thornberry? If you know her, she's a force to be reckoned with. So I love Patty. She's awesome. The point is, I was the 4th person in 38 years to ask for a referral. 38 years. Answer your question? They work with hundreds of agents. But she sent me a referral that next month because I asked. That's the point. Ask. If you take nothing away from anything else I'm going to say, if you check out, if you're death scrolling on your phone right now, and you don't do anything else, please ask some of your vendor partners. That's worth money. So here's all the growth opportunities, or some of them, that you've been funding for your vendor partners. Payroll, vacations, family expenses, marketing, and mortgage. You've been paying all this for them, right? That's part of the role. That's what you do, is you provide money to 27 people, which is an awesome place to be. It's very empowering. It's a responsibility. For those of you who say, I'm just myself, BS, you're not yourself. You got 27 people who rely on you to put food on the table for their family, to pay payroll for their employees. And again, this is not throwing shade on any of your vendor partners. This is on us. You haven't created a structure for them to help you grow your business. That's the problem. It's not on them. It's not their fault. They're doing what you've asked them to do, and that's to fix the inspection items, close the transaction, do the lending. That's what you've asked them to do, but you haven't asked them, hey, I send you all this business. Would you be open to sending me one referral over the next 12 months? Nobody's going to say no, because you're not asking them for anything other than just a name. And here's the other thing. Don't ask these vendor partners to send you the same number of referrals that you send them, because they can't keep up. You're in a position to send a lot more business to them than they are to you. They are the tail that's wagging the dog. And you're at the very front of that, if that makes sense. So this isn't their fault. We just haven't established a structure to help them grow your business. And that's what we want to fix, is we turn this from a one-way vendor partner network into a two-way vendor partner network. So we're going to start really easy. And I call this your Fab 5. Everybody has a Fab 5. These are probably the people, including our photographer in the back of the room, that should be on your Fab 5. Lender, home inspector, title company, stager, photographer. We use these people on almost every single transaction. Maybe you have somebody else that you use in every single transaction, or most every transaction. Great, put them in your Fab 5. These were mine. I leverage these relationships with a very hyper-focused 30-minute meeting, not just a coffee, not just a catch-up. It was extremely laser-focused, and I turned it into a business alignment meeting that created a two-way relationship, which is what I wanted. And that generates 6 figures for me. And that's what I want you to do this as well. So the next question is, well, what do you talk about? By the way, make sure that you all registered and put your name on the sheet, because I'm going to send you the slides afterwards, so you don't need to worry about taking pictures. I should have said that at the beginning. I apologize. But if you've not put your name on the registration form, just put it on. I'm not going to spam you. I want you to have the slides. I don't want you to feel like you have to take pictures or whatever. All right.
I'll have it back here at the end.
So this is what your meeting should answer. These 5 questions. Do you serve the same type of client? Not every vendor partner does, right? Number 2, do we share the same service standards? This is really important. How do most real estate agents find their vendor partners? When you need them, right? That is the worst time to find them, because now you're desperate and you'll take anybody. You should look for them before you need them so that you can interview them properly. How many of you have heard the adage, hire slow, fire fast? This is what this should be. These people should be interviewing, you should be interviewing them for a place on your Fab 5. And not everybody's going to make the cut.
I'd say most agents that I've talked to, their vendor list came to them from when they first got hired, and their managing broker gave them a vendor list, and it just became theirs. And it's not really theirs; it was somebody else's.
100% agree. 100% agree. Those vendor lists, and here's what I've seen for all the agents. 500 agents have gone through this, and I've done a lot of follow-up and studies. Here's what I found: on average, when you audit your vendor partner list, which you should, on average, 2 to 3 vendor partners are kicked off the list immediately because you're not in alignment with them. And they have no business being on there. You're just there out of convenience. And that is not a two-way relationship. right? Can I confidently refer you to somebody? Because here's the deal. When you refer someone to someone, you are extending your reputation to that person, right? So if they do a really crappy job, guess who that looks bad on? So if you are not interviewing these people and really making them work for you and making sure there's alignment, true alignment, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not exhibiting what we call in networking groups referable behavior. I'm sure you've heard of that many times. Are you exhibiting referable behavior? Are you showing up for your networking group? How she shows up to her networking group matters. If she shows up late every time, there's just a ding on her referable behavior. If she doesn't do what she says she's going to do, ding on her referable behavior. Or if she shows up looking like she just got done working out at the gym, that's a ding on her referable behavior. She is in a professional setting. She should act like it, look like it, and sound like it. And that's what all of you should be. We're not part-time agents. This should be full-time for us. Whether you spend 40 hours a week or not, this is how we show up. We get paid a lot of money for what we do. Act like it. Can you confidently refer me? Are you asking your referral partners this? Do you have everything that you need to know? Have you ever done the reverse introductions in your group? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we have done that.
So here's a really cool thing. Can your vendor partners introduce you to a stranger? If you really want to audit what your message sounds like to somebody, ask them to introduce you to somebody else and see what they say. What they say is what they're hearing from you. My question to you is this: is what they're hearing from you what you want them to hear? Here's the point. The responsibility of communication is on the sender more than the receiver. Yes, the receiver has an active part, but the sender also has an active part. And it's the most active part. So what message are you communicating to your vendor partners as to how you work? Are you the one that is always hair on fire, running all over the place? You're unorganized, you don't have a system, you don't have a structure. You just are going to slide in hot and fast and ugly? Or are you professional and they can count on you because you got your stuff together? And lastly, with a successful 12-month partnership, what would that look like? And find out. There's a whole system on how you can do this. But every one of you has a vendor-partner relationship. You have multiple of them. You have to in order to do your job. But very few of you, if we went and actually looked at it, you don't have vendor-partner alignment. And that's what we need in order to make this work. So this is what I would do. Top grade your vendors. If you haven't done this, I implore you to do this. Go down your list of vendor partners that you work with and ask yourself these questions. Would I trust them with my best clients? If the answer is no, top grade. And by that I mean fire them. Do they respond quickly? Or do you have to hound them to get to a job? Do they make me look good? Do they talk me up? Do they even know who I am? Do they know the type of business that I do? Are they growth-minded? This is something that was really important for my vendor partners is I want them to be growth-minded like I am. We all know that I'm an education junkie, which is great, but are they wanting to grow their business? Because those are the people I want because they're hungry. And they're going to look for opportunities, which is what you want. And lastly, would they be open to a two-way relationship? Or are they just looking for one-way transactional? I want to be value. I don't want to be transactional. I know Jared and his team are the same way. They want a two-way relationship with you as realtor partners. Referrals go both ways, and they should. What are you taking away from this? We've talked about a lot of concepts, and I'm going to land this plane here in just a minute because we're about finished. What are you taking away?
Same from the entire thing or just this section?
Just this section we've talked about. You can anything today if you want. You haven't mentioned.
Specifically from this,
Oh, go ahead.
Here.
Gotta have the purple mic.
Yeah. That's the talking stick.
I would say the give a lead, take a lead. That's one big thing, and also the vendor relationship of understanding that you are always representing a business. So whoever your relationship or you're sending to a networking event for you as your company to a lead, right? And also managing that relationship. Like for example, I was stuck between the two of going to an event yesterday for my title company, right? Title company sends me leads on my contracting business. But I'm like, all right, well, do I not go to this or do I show face at this? And so that's where those relationships are important to make sure that you're managing to be able to get that lead, right? So I would say the big thing is making sure that it's a two-way street, that you're not just taking, but that you're always giving as well, you know? So I would say
100%
the
agree.
big talking points.
Absolutely. You should set those up as a two-way street. Thank you. Pooja.
I can say is like being intentional because in give and take, obviously there should be a win-win for both of us. But at the same time, um, I have to be intentional about how I wanted to create that relationship. In give and take, I am the person I always start with give from my side first before I
Yes.
expect a take. And that is what I understood from you is like always a two-way instead of one way because
Yep.
I have to think as a how we both can make the most out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm kind of struggling is like how I can gauge that the other person on the other side of the table is equally intentional like me, or how I can make myself a top priority for somebody else. I can create a priority for myself, but how I can find that same vibes from the other side of the contact to see how they are seeing me as their top priority. So that is what I'm kind of struggling. If you can able to share some light.
And that's all about having intentional conversations, right? And making sure that there's alignment between both of you. That's the most important thing. And listen, all of the people that you serve, like the loan officers in the room, they're not all going to be in alignment like this because not every real estate agent thinks this way. And so I'm not saying, oh, I don't want you to think about, oh, I work with 50 real estate agents. I know I have to come up with 50 referrals. Nope. Just the ones that you want to work with in a two-way relationship like this. And it's not going to be everybody. Make sure we get you on camera.
Yeah. So I think something that I think about with this, because I do this a lot with my vendors, is that I feel like at least I have really tried to be sincere about checking with my clients after the transaction and during the transaction to audit these vendors that I'm sending them to as well. So obviously making sure that the vendor partners that I work with, are like-minded and have a good experience, but also checking with the client during and after the transaction to make sure that they felt the same experience as well. Because I
love
have some
that.
clients that come to me and say, why did you send me that person? They messed up or they dropped the ball or whatever. And I find out after the transaction, and so I think auditing during and after with your clients as well is important.
100% agree. And that's actually one of the things that I teach. It's not in this part, it's in a different part of the program. But yeah, sending a survey out to everybody afterwards, to your client, and asking them to rate the people that were involved in the transaction so that you can keep up with that. And then it's like being a manager, which you are, and you can go back if there's some opportunities to coach your vendor partners up. Maybe they've done something really well, recognize that, and do it in public, praise in public, and coach in private. Give them an opportunity to improve. And if they choose not to take that, well then, top grade. But I love that you do that. Not many agents do that. Anyone else? Any other takeaways before we close up? Good? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Okay. All right, so we talked about growth, top grading your vendors. So most agents, they don't do this. because it for them, it's a hard conversation because you've never had it before. And it doesn't have to be, because you can say something, you can use this exact language. I send you business, I trust you with my clients, I want this to become a real two-way partnership, so let's talk about what that looks like. Super simple. Real easy. You're not begging. You're not a pauper with your hand out. You don't need to be. It's creating mutual growth with clear expectations. When everybody wins, that's when you have a good relationship and a good partnership. How many of you heard the phrase clarity is kind? Really, 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 really important. Really important. So a two-way partnership, if you're like, what does that look like? It looks like the following. It defines who you serve. We've already talked about that. Are you in alignment with the people that you serve? How referrals are introduced. This is really important. A lot of your vendor partners, especially if they're like in the trades, like your blue collar vendor partners that we work with a lot of them don't think like this. There are some exceptions, but a lot of them don't think like this. The people that do are your real estate agents, your loan officers, your financial advisors, your insurance agents. These are people that usually have more of a referral type of a mindset because they're in sales and they're building their business that way. But a lot of them don't know how to introduce. And you could probably get up and give your 60-second, right? And you know how to introduce someone. Like, for example, if someone gave me a referral or they gave me a name or whatever, the first thing I'd be say, thank you so much for the introduction. I don't like the word referral. I like introductions better. But thank you so much for the introduction. You know what? The hard part, or the easy part is just give me the name. The hard part is making sure that we connect. Would it be okay with you if we start a text thread and you introduce me on a three-way text? Or an email? I don't like emails quite as much. Or a phone call, or a meeting. The point is take it from passive to active introduction, where you are actively initiating the triangle of trust and you're making sure that that person is in touch. That's how you do it, right?
Steve, I was one way we get introduced from people, and it's maybe the most frustrating way, is we'll get it, somebody will be like, hey, I gave your name out to somebody. Like, we'll never hear from that person. You know? So,
yeah. Hey,
yeah, doing that warm
thanks
introduction.
Thanks for thinking of me, but
yeah, sweet.
Thanks, but no thanks, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a warm introduction both ways, and that's it's easier for the client, takes the pressure off them to reach out, and it puts the pressure on us to reach out.
Absolutely, and it should. Sending a referral or an introduction is an active process, and you do need to take that extra step. Instead of just mentioning a name to somebody, it should be, I want to make sure that you get in touch with each other, and that's important. How quickly we respond, that should be defined. How often we review the relationship, what service standard do we commit to, and then what we both expect. There's actually an agreement that I've created that I have each of my vendor partners sign off on, and there's a few exceptions that where they can't sign off on it. We just have a meeting of the minds. But we go over all this, and we clearly define what the service expectations are with all of my vendor partners. And if you ask them and say, I know exactly what Steve wants and what he expects, because he expects out of his team, and he also expects that out of us as his extended team as well. And so there's 10 points on it that I have, and if they won't commit to it, they're not part of my team, because they're a reflection of me and the service that I provide to my clients. All right? So the paperwork isn't the most important thing. It's having the clarity with your vendor partners, that is. Clarity is kind. Any questions about any of this? Brandon, I was hoping you would raise your hand and say something.
Something that I've picked up.
Is that your son?
It is.
That's awesome. Welcome. What's your name?
Eric.
Eric? Welcome, Eric. Thanks for being here. I love it when parents bring their kids to work. I think that's awesome. Have you learned something, Eric, today? I don't want to put you on the spot. I really just want to ask you, what have you learned today? What's one thing that you've learned today? I just want to see what you're taking.
Earlier in the car, me and my dad, we were talking about, I heard something that caught my ear. It said both parties have to be happy. We was talking about in a deal when we were in the car, both parties have to be happy for it to be considered a fair trade.
Yep. Win-win or no deal, right? And that's what we all are trying to do, is create win-win opportunities. 100%. That's, your dad is right as usual. All right, Dad.
No.
Lay out some wisdom on us, my friend.
Group texting with the referrals. I'm getting everybody to with our vendor people and our clients. I'm telling all my people to exercise group texts. So, hey, do you got anybody that's interested? Like how you said, Jared, somebody says, hey, I gave somebody your name. You're like, okay, well, that doesn't help me. But the group text does.
I love group texts.
Yeah.
Group texts are awesome. If you're not using it, encourage your clients to do that. And I always do that. You know, when someone sends me a referral, if they don't give me that, I prompt them. And they're like, hey, you know, give me a name is the easy part, but making sure we get in touch is the hard part. Would you be open to introducing us over a group text to make sure that we get in contact?
Well, I think group text and even emails, but text is easier. It gives you an opportunity to see how your vendor partner responds and how quickly they respond. Like I don't know if it's hung up because we just moved, but literally on our wall, we respond to every client within 2 minutes. Well, we can't respond to a client in 2 minutes if we don't have the name number to respond to, right? But it also gives you an opportunity to see, hey, how are they talking to my client in that group text, and are they trying, to introduce yourself? So it gives you a chance to vet them real time on how they're taking care and representing you as the agent too.
And there's your real-time audit. And you don't have to necessarily wait till the end of the transaction to audit those. But I would highly encourage you, if you're not doing it, please audit your transactions and the experience. Something that's not part of this is, how many of you remember Disney's bus service that they would take from the airport to the cruise terminal? Does anybody take the, not Mears, it was the Magical Express. Remember, now it's Mears because they stopped doing it. But who knows why Disney had the Magical Express? What's that? 100% agree. They wanted to control the experience. If you had one word to describe Disney's experience, what do you think Disney would use for the word? Magical. Everybody knows it, right? Right? Magical. And that's one of the words that I used in my service delivery promise for our clients is, my goal is that you have such a magical level of experience that you confidently introduce us to 3 people before we get to what you call closing, I call a celebration. And that's a script. And I set that expectation with every single client when I met with them for the very first time. Because Disney wanted to control the experience. And here's the thing, you should want to control the experience as much as you can with your vendor partners. Disney had their own bus service because they employed the bus drivers, they owned the buses, they controlled the experience. I always thought it was for money, but I always thought, why not have Disney run their own airline and have it from major points like the top 10 cities that where people come from to visit Orlando, and then have your own terminal, because we all know that Orlando's terminal is an absolute poop show, and it's awful. If you've ever been there, it's terrible. You got to get clear. That's the best way to get through it. But anyway, okay, so making sure that you have clarity over the vendor-partner relationship, they have clarity with you, and you audit them is really, really important. You can't make any assumptions. So here's what we know. 27 vendor categories are already orbiting every one of your transactions on average, right? They know homeowners. They're working with homeowners, and they need growth. You're the one that's connecting them together. And this is where you establish your two-way relationship. So today was one piece of a bigger referral engine for you, and I've alluded to 2 other pieces. So this is the one hidden leak, is that your vendor-partner relationships are not producing the referrals that they should for you, except for maybe a couple of rock stars over here, which is awesome. By the way, I've talked to over 500 people. You were the only one who has said, both of you are the only ones who have said the numbers you've had. The highest I've ever heard is 7 referrals.
Well,
that I
I'm
get.
a one-stop shop, so that's kind of like the cheat code. Because I'm the real estate developer, I'm the investor, a contractor, and a realtor. So it's kind of like a, oh yeah.
You're controlling the whole experience. Not all of us want to do that. I don't want to do that. But good for you. You, the Energizer Bunny with boundless energy. I give you a lot of credit for doing that. But so this is where other leaks. I want you to just think about this in your business because again, clarity is kind. You can't unsee what you see, right? Think about your business. Database follow-up. Some of you mentioned this, that there are some issues with lack of database follow-up and you're seeing leads leaking out of your database. Your client experience. Do you know what your client experience is like? Or are you guessing? How many of you survey your clients after every single transaction? Send a survey out. You do, Janet? Good. If you don't, you should. And there's survey systems out there. It could be automated. It doesn't have to be super hard, but survey your clients. What do they like about your service? What could you have improved? And then if there is an issue, it gives you an opportunity to go back and try to make it right, right? The only answer that you get to say when you get constructive feedback is thank you. You don't get to come back and defend, well, but I did. That's not it. You can't do that. If you want constructive feedback, the only answer is thank you. I will work to do better. Is there anything specifically that I could do better? How could I improve? And your vendor partners gives you an opportunity. Referral systems. There's a lot of referral systems out there, and I guarantee that a lot of you are finding some leaks there. What about your lead conversion? Do you have great scripts that you follow? Are you converting a high enough percentage of your leads, or are a lot of them falling out? Time and consistency. Real estate agents are notorious for not protecting their time. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And so here's a real thing, and I'm not going to ask you to do this, but if I looked at your calendar today, right now, if I asked you to put it on, would I be impressed or would I be scared? Everything that you do should be on your calendar. From working out to actively working on your business to working in your business, showing houses, listing appointments, whatever, all of this should be on your calendar. And by the way, your vacations go on there first. And then everything else goes on. Right? If you have a spouse, there you go. Now we got to something to take away. They can put your vacations on there first. And if you have a spouse, for the love of all that's holy, please put a date night on there, at least once a month. That should also go on there first. And if somebody says, I want to see a house or I want a listing appointment during your date night, what do you say? Sorry, no, Janet. I'm sorry, I have another commitment. Would tomorrow at 5 be better? That's what you do. Your family sees how you prioritize them. Do you respect that or do you not? Do they see where they fall? Don't be that little girl that was on there that says, Daddy, when am I going to see you again? That's how that happens. Respect your family. They are the most important people, or should be, in your life. Not some rando that wants you to go show a house at the last minute. And commission protection. How many of you have great scripts? If I asked you to reduce your fee, could you convince me articulately why you won't reduce your fee and why I don't want you to reduce your fee? I'm not going to ask you to do it right now, but if I did, how many of you would be so confident you'd be willing to do a script with me right now? You could defend it. If not all of your hands are going up, you have an opportunity, right? You should be able to, I would do that with any one of you right now. I never reduced my fee. And I didn't lose clients either because of it. And the few that I did, I didn't want to work with anyway because it was transactional, and that's not who I am. And you got to be willing to walk away. That's the biggest secret is. You can't be so hungry that you have to make every deal work. So bottom line, the problem is rarely effort. It's usually missing a system. And that's what real estate agents lack, are systems. So this takes us to the end and our runway. Now you know the iceberg is there. I pointed out a lot of them to you, right? You need to identify your leaks before your ship sinks. I guarantee you, 3 or 4 people in this room will not be in this business next year. I guarantee it. Statistically speaking, I'm on pretty solid ground with that, and that makes me sad. But it's a fact. I know some of you will not be in the business next year. Don't wait till it's too late. If this is what you want to do, fix it. Find a way to fix it, and that's important. So here's your next step. I am not assuming that Premier Connect is the next best step for you. I'm not assuming that my coaching is the best step for you. I'm not the right coach for everybody, period. I might not be the right coach for you, and that's okay. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. Have any of you heard that before? Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. I never assume I'm the right fit for somebody, because I don't know. Here's what I do know. I want to help you. Whether we have a formal relationship or not, I don't care. I want to help you find out where your business is leaking opportunities, which system, whether it's mine or something else, there's a lot of systems out there, would create the fastest improvement for you and what your next best move should be. That's what I want for you. And I'm inviting you to grab a spot on my calendar, which is protected, by the way. I only have certain times that are available, and it's not my family time, to book a 30-minute bottleneck assessment. That's it. I don't want you to buy anything. I'm not selling you anything. I want to help you. And if this resonated with you, grab a time on my calendar, because I would love to have a conversation. This is honestly my favorite part of what I do. I love learning about people's businesses because everyone is unique and there's always opportunities to improve. Mine too. I have 2 coaches that I work with on a weekly basis, and they each provide me something. I've had a coach my entire career. And I'm not saying everybody needs a coach. Not everybody is coachable. I will say that. But what I will say is, take some time, take me up on this, and let's have a conversation. And let's see where some opportunities are for you. And I'll help you find them. Whether it involves me or not, I don't really care. But I want to make sure that you have opportunities to be successful and that we don't have people leaving the business, because consumers need you a lot. Whether they admit it or not, they need you. And I want to make sure that they're getting what they need. So please follow me. If you want to follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Where else am I? LinkedIn. You can follow me on there. But I would love, love, love to connect with you in one way, shape, or form, whether it's on socials, whether it's via phone call, whatever, and discover some opportunities you have in your business.
Steve, I have a quick question. Why
Yes, sir.
do you take off on Wednesdays? I noticed on your calendar, like, you don't have any Wednesdays. What's your thought process behind that?
That is because
Family day?
I work, that's when I work on my business.
Oh, gotcha.
Thursdays and Mondays are probably pretty booked up as well, because that's when I coach. I coach mostly Mondays and Tuesdays. So those are for my coaching clients. There probably will be a few openings on there. Thursdays and Fridays I keep open for things like this, or Wednesdays. So I love doing stuff like this. By the way, if any of you have some opportunities tomorrow, I know this is last minute, but at Finch Creek in Noblesville with Taylor Morrison Homes, I'm going to be teaching a class on new construction there from 11 to 2, and you get, if any of you still need CE, you get 3 CE credits. And I promise you it'll be fun, not sitting behind a screen through the crappy RECP training. No offense to MyBor or RECP or IAR. IAR is really the ones who runs that. But anyway, if you need some more CE credits, come tomorrow. It's tomorrow from 11 to 2 at Finch Creek in Noblesville at the Taylor Morrison Finch Creek project. And so here's what we're going to do. I'll mention this really fast, and we're out of time. But we're going to be talking about inspection company is going to be there teaching about new construction, some basic new construction stuff. I'm going to teach my VIP Builder program, which pretty much prevents clients, you've been in that, pretty much prevents clients from going to the builder without you and protecting your commission. And then we're going to have a grudge match where I'm going to bring the builder for the community and an independent home inspector. I'm going to sit them up in front of everybody at the same time, and I'm going to ask them really difficult questions between the builder and the inspector. If any of you have been through the new construction experience, builders hate home inspectors. And we're going to put them together and ask them why, and find out some hard answers to some questions. And then after that, if you have time, we're actually going to go walk through with the inspector and the builder a home that's at pre-drywall, and they're going to point out everything they're seeing, so you can better educate your clients as you're going through the process. So that's tomorrow. You have to register to get the CE for that. It's free. Price is right. I'll tell you what, make sure you have your name on there. I will send you the link. You can also follow me on Instagram, and the link is there along with this link. So if anybody has not filled that out, fill it out, and I will make sure that you get not only the slides from today, but also the RSVP code for tomorrow. And if you want to join us, you can. It'll be a whole lot of fun. I am really looking forward to this grudge match. I've got 10 questions, and they're going to be really juicy. So I've had to make sure the inspector and builder don't go at each other. And this is going to be kind of fun. So thank you for being here today.
So 12 hours by the end of the month.
End of the month, yeah. How many of you have all your CE credits? I have mine.
I was about to say that. I was like, I would join. I would come.
Just come. Brandon, you love education, man. Come. Bring Eric.
I'll be there.
So if anybody needs CE, still need it, and it's fun, come tomorrow. We'll have a great time. Jared, thank you, Steve, for hosting.
And before I end, I want to give 3 examples, real life examples of this actually like working. And so one of the things we teach theme days, which is part of some coaching that I've done on the lender side, and he's done on the real estate side, and it made for an easy kind of, partnership, I guess, if you will. And so we actually hold our real estate agents accountable to be like, hey, if you want to get better, like, let us help you get better. And that's one of the value adds that we bring. So Kurt back here is talking to one of his agents about their VIP list, right? And so what we teach is on Mondays, real estate agents call 10, 12 of your VIP agents every single week to have these conversations that Steve's talking about. And so our theme day on Mondays is to call our real estate agents and to stay top of mind with them and provide you updates and things like that. So Kurt gets on a Zoom call with one of his agents, and she's really nervous. She's never done this before. She makes like 3 phone calls, gets one of her, I think it was a general contractor on the phone, and is talking to a general contractor. She calls him back the next day, and the guy didn't answer. Calls him back the next day and goes, by the way, actually, thank you for calling me. Nobody's asked me for this. I have a lead for you. By the end of that day on Tuesday, she had a listing agreement signed and the house was on the market just for calling and making and doing this. At a swimming, I don't spend as much as you do on cheerleading, but or cheer comp. But man, swimming is like right below that. My daughter's a competitive swimmer. And it's boring. I mean, you're there for 5 hours to watch them swim for like a minute and a half, right? It's beautiful. So I got bored, and I was like, I'm going to call one of my roofers to talk to them about one of our products to help them potentially, close more deals on the roofing side if their client doesn't have the money to get it done. I call him. He goes, oh my gosh. No, first off, nobody's ever called me to talk about this. That guy in a month has sent me 6 leads, and we've closed 3 of them in a month just by calling a VIP partner. So it works. These VIP partners and these vendors, they're not getting calls from real estate agents. They're not. They want to go out and be loved on, from you guys. So do the work. It's great.
Just a real quick question: how many real estate agents ask you out to coffee? 2. Over how long?
Just within the last couple months.
So a couple months. Would you be pretty excited if a real estate agent asked you out to coffee to see if there's an opportunity? So do that. These vendor partners would love that. Most of them are jonesing to get in front of you guys. You hold the key to the kingdom for most of them, what if you flip the script and ask them out? Do you think that would start off on the right foot and set yourself apart from all these other real estate agents? Would you probably remember the two that asked you out for coffee, I would imagine, right? And I would imagine that you hold them in fairly high esteem. There's probably a reason why they did that. So it doesn't have to be hard. You're making it harder than it is. But just ask. Just do one. Ask one vendor partner out for coffee. Yeah. There's a whole system behind this, but it works. And I want you and share it. When you get some opportunities that come to you, please share them with me. You have my email. Shoot me an email because I love hearing success stories like that. And I want to be able to share it with other people too, because I don't want to keep this a secret. So share your successes with me. You too. And Janet, share your successes with me. Love it. So thank you for being here. Connect with me if you have any other questions.
And also thank you to Christy in the back. If you haven't met her, step back there, say hi, invite her to coffee. I'm sure she'd love some coffee.
She would love to. You'll be caffeinated for the next month.
Well, I appreciate you guys. That kind of wraps this up. And like I said, if you guys need anything, would love to chat with you if we've not met you, and go see our new office space. So thanks, Steve.
Cool.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Resend that because I didn't get anything.
Yeah, I don't know how you have all the energy you got to do all that stuff.
Huh?
And you got a vodka brand too, or something?
Yeah. Tequila.
Tequila? Good Lord.